Hi, I'm Senior Patrol Officer Randy Seals, and I'm the recruiter for the Hampton Police Division. Today we are going to get a more in-depth behind-the-scenes look into our hiring process and the expectations of a brand new police recruit. We're going to be sitting down with one of our academy staff instructors and 3 police recruits who have recently graduated from the academy. After hearing the testimonies of each recruit today about their hiring process and journey through the academy, you'll be hitting that submit button on your application for the Hampton Police Division in no time. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into one of our first interviews of the day. I would like to introduce to you guys Master Police Officer Brian Rowe, who is one of our academy instructors here at our own in-house police academy. Welcome, Brian. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So we're just going to ask you a couple of questions to kind of let everyone get an inside look at maybe what they can expect in the academy and what they can kind of improve on before they enter the academy, as well as what you look for in a recruit. So I guess I'll start off by asking, what are some qualities and attributes that you look for in a brand new recruit?
So that's a good question, and I think it's funny because you'll probably hear most people think that there is a prototype of kind of like a set thing of skills, knowledge, attributes that a police officer should have. But really, in all honesty, we look for people that are self-motivated, that are passionate, that have a good moral compass, right? So we can teach you a lot of things in this job. We can teach you how to shoot firearms. We can teach you defensive tactics. We can teach you legals. But ultimately, I think inherently what we also need is just good, honest people that have a heart that wants to serve and that wants to make the people around them better.
Excellent, excellent. So how long is a recruit in the academy for?
So the actual academy itself is approximately 22 weeks, give or take, extenuating circumstances. Obviously, dealing with COVID here lately, we've had to make some adjustments. Usually an average of about 22 weeks, and then they will go into their police training officer phase, which they'll hit the road with an experienced training officer that they'll ride with for approximately anywhere from 14 to 20 weeks.
Nice. And you guys have clearly made those adjustments for COVID during the academy, and you've been successful in graduating, I think, 32 of 32, right?
Absolutely, yes. This class that we have, 32 graduating, actually started on Zoom for the first couple weeks, which I think was a learning experience for all of us. It's very hard to really accurately engage and get to know the guys through a video channel. But then we were able to get them back in once things kind of slowed down a bit, and it's a really great group of guys and gals that are getting ready to graduate, all 32 of them.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job over there at the academy, and Hampton PD has always prided themselves on the training aspect of the job, and I think you guys offer that for brand new recruits.
Absolutely.
So, good stuff. So speaking of training, what kind of training can a recruit look forward to throughout the duration of the academy?
Sure. So in 22 weeks, we can squeeze in a lot of things. We're very big. We start right off the bat with constitutional law and legal aspects of the job. We're big on ethics, professionalism, cultural diversity, which is very important to us here at the Hampton Police Division. And then we kind of flow into aspects of use of force or defensive tactics, firearms, driving. Really, we try to cover anything and everything that they may experience on a day-to-day basis being a police officer here in the city of Hampton.
Okay, so pretty much from the beginning to end, it's a constant progression of learning everything that they're going to need and have all the tools ready for when they hit the streets.
No, absolutely. And then in the very last week prior to their graduation, we run them through a week-long course of scenarios that is basically scenarios that are put together that allow them to work through problems as if they were responding to calls on the road prior to them actually hitting the streets and making contact with the public.
Excellent. Well, I guess to close it out with you, again, thank you for joining us, but do you have any advice for anyone out there who is planning on sending in that application and becoming a member of the Hampton Police Division?
No, absolutely. Work hard, train hard. This is a very rewarding job if you have the heart to serve and the passion for it. We here at Hampton will be more than glad to have you here in the academy, give you all the training and knowledge that all the officers here in the division can offer. And we'd love to have you out here working on the streets with us.
So that will be it from MPO Row. We're going to go ahead and move on to our 3 police recruits who recently graduated from the academy to hear what they have to say. First up for our round of interviews today of our 3 police recruits who recently graduated the academy is Recruit Deloach. Recruit Deloach, how are you?
How you doing, sir?
Good, welcome. Glad to have you here. We're just going to be talking about the hiring process that you went through at the Hampton Police Division, as well as your time throughout the academy. So first up, I would just like to ask, how did you learn of the Hampton Police Division?
I learned from the Hampton Police Division and from a colleague who inspired me to take that jump from my previous law enforcement, and he know my compassion for interact with the community more.
Okay, you said previous law enforcement. What did you do prior to?
I was a deputy sheriff.
Deputy sheriff.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
all right. And decided to make that switch.
Yes, sir.
And throughout the hiring process with Hampton, how did you know this was going to be home?
I knew it was going to be home because I liked the friendly environment, the brother and sisterhood that I inquired since I've been in my process with the division itself, and I just knew that I felt that vibe of love here.
Okay. And the hiring process for you here at Hampton, how was it for you?
The hiring process here was broken up in different phases. Well, like any other city, they test your abilities to see if you're a right candidate for the city of Hampton as a police officer. And it was quite interesting, to say the least.
Okay. Do you feel like it was a smooth transition throughout that process to get you hired on and be a part of our team here?
Absolutely, sir.
And for those of you out there who do not know, Recruit Deloach is actually the class leader from the past class 2020 Alpha, and I'm going to have Recruit Deloach touch on his role as the class leader.
A class leader is someone who's can effectively make good, wise decisions. Someone who has more in judgment, and that can include compassion, to be able to be transparent, and be able to make positive decisions.
And positive decisions were clearly made because you guys started off with a class of 32 and you graduated with 32, correct?
Yes, sir. I think a big help of that was my class is so diverse. Half of my class is from either a different state, different ethnicity, or a different country. Say the least, Brazil, China, I want to say Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. That's just to say the least.
Wow, so from pretty much all over the world, you guys had it in the class and worked together as a team and made the mission possible.
Absolutely.
And it probably came from your leadership as well, being the class leader.
Yes, sir.
Great stuff. Well, guys, you heard it here from Recruit Deloach. We're going to move on to Recruit Wise here in just a moment. Again, thank you, Recruit Deloach, for joining us today.
Thank you, sir.
And that's what it takes to be part of the Hampton Police Division. We'll move on to Recruit Wise next. Next up, we have Recruit Mariah Wise joining us today. Welcome, Mariah. Thank you for being here. We're just going to have a conversation about your hiring process and the fact that you're local to the area, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you're from?
I actually grew up here in Hampton, Virginia. I attended Hampton High School, and I am now currently a part of 2020 Alpha.
Okay. So you were a student at Hampton High at one point.
Yes.
And clearly you're from Hampton, Virginia. So what drew your interest in the Hampton Police Division, or becoming an officer in the town that you grew up in?
So I went to college and I decided to pursue a career in law enforcement. I had my son later on. He's 4. His name's Caden. And I started thinking about the world that we live in and how I could give back to the community and to pretty much ensure that he would grow up in a safe and positive environment. So what better place to give back than the community that I grew up in.
And in a way, Hampton kind of did that in your recruiting process, because I believe you got back in touch with an old SRO from Hampton High.
Yes.
Sergeant Kinchelow.
Yes.
He was your SRO when you were there, right?
So, yeah, the school resource officer from my high school actually was there when I took my written test and my physical test.
Nice.
So.
Good to always keep those connections from, when you're young, and then when you get older and looking for that job, you still have that connection.
Yes.
And by being local and working with the Hampton Police Division, obviously being from the city of Hampton, what benefits do you think that will have for you in your career with the citizens of Hampton?
And an obvious aspect, I would say, being familiar with the area would be a good one. We have a lot of recruits that are from other places, and luckily, me being from here, I know how to get around for the most part. And then another big thing I would say is my personal relationships that I've built with people in the community since I grew up here, just even the lady at 7-Eleven by my parents' house, stuff like that. It's just little things like that. I know that they're proud of me and they support everything with me coming here to the police academy, which I feel like in the world we live in and what's going on right now, that support really just means a lot.
So we have one more officer added to the street, recruit Mariah Wise. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back with recruit number 3 in just a moment. And last but not least, we're going to be sharing an interesting recruitment story surrounding recruit Sean OBrien. Sean, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
My name's Sean OBrien. I'm from upstate New York, a little town called Sparta. It's just right outside of Rochester. So it's a town about 300 people and small town living.
So pretty far away from Virginia. How'd you hear about the Hampton Police Department?
So I came down to Southern Virginia University to play football, and I knew I wanted to be a police officer, and so I was at home in New York for Christmas looking at jobs, and this is one of the few departments that I picked out based on the city and the location and just it was a beautiful city from what I was looking at it, so I definitely wanted to make sure that I applied to Hampton City.
So while you were in the hiring process and you got to meet the recruitment unit, that's it's a home away from home essentially now. So how did you know Hampton was the right fit for you to continue your career as a police officer?
Yeah, so it came down to a few departments, and the one thing that I definitely focused on was how much Hampton PD loves its community. And so there wasn't as much of a focus in other departments when I was going through the process. And Hampton, that's the only thing they talked about really, was how much we care about our citizens and how our training and our policies are based around making the community better for them and making a greater partnership to essentially cut out crime. And I love the community policing aspect of Hampton PD, and that's why I chose Hampton.
Nice. So, speaking about the hiring process, with you being an out-of-state applicant, were we accommodating to you as far as your process of getting hired here? Or?
Oh, 100%. So it was really easy. If you had to do a couple appointments of what we needed to get done in a row on the same day, all you had to do was call. And it was like 2 or 3 rings in, somebody was on the phone. You or Sergeant Kinchlow was on the phone. And so if you needed to knock out 2 appointments in a row, it wasn't a big issue. So if you were coming from far away, you had to get stuff done, they got it done for you. They'll make sure that you get your stuff done in a convenient way for the recruit.
How did you find out about Hampton Police?
So actually I was online and I was just looking at Indeed, and Hampton PD was up there, and then I did my research on the city, and it was pretty simple. You just application, and literally 2 days after I sent in the application, you guys were on the phone with me.
Yeah,
so,
we're pretty quick.
Yeah.
So if you had any department to tell your friends or anybody out there to join, who's it going to be?
it was going to be Hampton City.
That's right. Well, thanks, Sean, for being here, man, and taking time out of your day, and be safe out there on the streets, and we'll be hearing from you soon.
All right, thank you.
So after hearing MPO Rowe, Recruit Deloach, Recruit Wise, and Recruit OBrien, you can clearly see that the Hampton Police Division prides itself on its recruitment unit and process, as well as the academy and its training. If you're thinking about becoming a police officer and joining this great team here at the Hampton Police Division, remember to head on over to hampton.gov/hire, where you can complete the application and your background questionnaire today.